Welcome to Untested Builds, where we figure out how to play as your favorite D&D YouTubers in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. On Monday, NoNat1 posted a video building Jacob from XP to level 3 as a Pathfinder character. It was hilarious, and if you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. Link is in the description. Today, I decided that I would get in on the fun too by building my favorite Dungeons & Dragons YouTuber and obvious inspiration for the channel, TULOK the Barbarian from the channel TULOK the Barbarian, but also TULOK and Mako. I'm pretty sure the Venn diagram between my subs and TULOK subs is just a tiny circle inside of a much larger circle, so let's get right into it. For the goals for this build, TULOK's an excellent judge of character. We need to have the observation skills to see everything we need for a build, but also the wisdom to know what to leave out. Good thing those are both the same stat. Second, TULOK has been on YouTube going on 3 years now, delivering at least 2 videos every week featuring the best puns on the platform, so we're going to need as much stamina as possible to keep that rhythm going. Lastly, a lot of people talk the talk, but TULOK also walks the walk, uplifting underrepresented voices and topics while shutting down the socially misguided in hilarious fashion. For our stats, we're starting with 18 strength to make sure that we can crank out enough push-ups to be cast as Hercules. 14 constitution, fall damage is nearly as lethal in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, but we want a bit of padding to keep safe. 14 intelligence to know not to jump so high that would actually take fall damage. 12 charisma for now, we'll get better at talking later, and we're leaving wisdom and dexterity alone until we actually need them. For our ability boost, we're increasing everything at least a little bit. We've got a lot of multi-class requirements coming up. For our skills, we're basically taking everything, but we're focusing on a few in particular. Legendary athletics, it's basically the easiest way to autopilot yourself into a high mobility build. Expert deception for the occasional bamboozle. Master diplomacy, talking is kind of our thing. And expert performance for the occasional musical gag. And master society for an encyclopedic memory of pop culture characters. TULOK is a human, but back in 2018, when I innocently tried to look up how to play Aqua in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, there was this man descended from the heavens to teach me how to play Aqua in a completely different game. Human Aasimar gain low light vision and can take Aasimar ancestry feats in addition to the boring human ones. We'll take the missionary background to bring the word to the people. We get training in diplomacy and scribing lore to get the calligraphy going right away. And the group impression skill feat to make an impression with 2 people at the same time. That number goes up as our diplomacy increases, doesn't quite get to 133k though. We'll take the celestial eyes ancestry feat to upgrade our half human eyes to increase our low light vision to full blown dark vision. TULOK may be a librarian cursed with incredible strength and the soul of a frost giant, but fun fact, TULOK is merely a persona for the real man behind the biggest character building channel on the platform, a man named Phil. And that guy with his keen eyes is actually a ranger, using the hunt prey action to scope out a target for a new build, gaining bonuses to perception and survival checks to track the target along the way. In Pathfinder, you actually get 3 actions every round, meaning you can make 3 attacks in a round as early as level 1, but on the second attack we hit on a -5 and on the third it's a -10, which is brutal if you really like to attack. We'll choose the Flurry Ranger to reduce the multi-attack penalty to -3 on the second attack and -6 on the third against our hunted prey, so we can also get at least 2 videos out with the occasional third when we're feeling generous. We're dual wielding stiletto pins, so we never have to decide between attacking and writing. They also have the agile trait to reduce our multi-attack penalty even further to -2 on the second attack and -4 on the third. The twin takedown ranger feat lets us make 2 attacks against our hunter prey in a single action, adding the damage together for the purposes of overcoming resistances, so we can still hunt prey and get 3 attacks off in a round. At level 2, we're getting quippy with the bond mode feat to make a diplomacy check against the target's will DC, imposing a -2 status penalty to their perception and will saves for up to a minute while they try to think up a good counter. Our jokes won't land every time though. If we critically fail, we take the penalty instead. We'll start the multi-classing as early as possible in true TULOK fashion. The Witch Dedication lets us make a pact with a patron in exchange for spells. Runes are really just the fantasy equivalent of an algorithm, and Rune Witches gain training in Arcana to unearth arcane spells, like the light cantrip to help all our friends see with their dumb human eyes, making an object glow like a torch for a full day. We also get a familiar to do special tasks for us, like moderating a Discord and filtering out keywords on Twitter. Level 3 Rangers gain Iron Will for expert will saves in case you're actually deciding to take a glance at the comments section for some reason. We'll take the Streetwise feat to use our diplomacy check in place of society to gather information about a character from a property we've already handled before. We'll pick up Courtly Graces to make sure our videos don't get demonetized on YouTube. We can use our society modifier to make an impression with nobility and also to impersonate a noble as long as they aren't like a specific person. Which is kind of awkward for me to bring up, considering I basically just impersonate a specific YouTube noble every day like it's a hobby. Anyway, basic witch spellcasting gives us a first level spell and a spell slot to cast it with. And how could I possibly build Phil without giving him True Strike to call out all of the complaints and bad takes in the comment section on the previous video? The joke doesn't really land in Pathfinder though, because True Strike isn't actually a bad spell. We still basically get advantage on an attack, but we also ignore the conceal or hidden condition on an attack, and also in Pathfinder you can cast the spell and still attack in the same turn. Level 5 Rangers gain weapon expertise for expert proficiency with our stiletto pins, and we gain the critical specialization effects on our weapons against our hunted prey, meaning on a crit we also deal 1d6 persistent bleeding damage, so we can immediately pin a letter to our victim's family in their own blood with our perfect penmanship. We also get trackless step to always gain the benefit of covering our tracks even while moving at full speed. We'll take the clever improviser human feat to gain the untrained improvisation feat for a bonus equal to half our level on skill checks we're untrained in, and we can also perform skill actions that will require us to be trained even if we aren't trained in that particular skill. Level 6 basic, which spellcasters can cast second level spells. We'll heighten Longstrider to gain a plus 10 foot speed bonus for 8 hours so we can spend less actions closing the distance and more actions attacking, since that's kind of what we're good at. We'll take the quick jump feat because if Phil taught me anything, it's that jumping in TTRPGs is severely underrated. Now we can perform a longer high jump in a single action instead of 2, and we no longer fail for not taking the initial stride action beforehand. We'll take another witch feat for enhanced familiar to give our little buddy an additional 2 familiar abilities to take each day. I was going to make another joke about maintaining an online presence, but I thought we should actually talk about familiar abilities for once this time. Personally, I like the independent ability so they can still interact and in combat without me needing to spend an action to command them, and also speech, because what's the point of having an animal friend if they can't talk to you? Level 7 Rangers gain Vigilant Senses for Master Perception Proficiency. Weapon Specialization for an extra 2 flat damage on our expert weapon attacks. The pen isn't really mightier than the sword, they only deal a d4, but 2 more damage and hitting on 2 more attacks every turn can really make up the difference over time. We also get Evasion to dodge the garbage anime like the plague with Master Reflex Proficiency, and critical success results on regular successes. That's a lot of class features, so we'll just take the fleet feat for our general feat and an extra 5 feet of movement speed, meaning we can run and jump faster and further. Level 8 basic, which spellcasters gain a 3rd level spell slot. Haste makes a creature quicken for a minute, giving them an extra action each round that they can use for a strike or stride action. We can't climb while wielding 2 ink pens, but that doesn't mean we can't get more vertical. The wall jump feat lets us effectively double jump so long as our first jump ends adjacent to any wall. Hey, did you know that on the internet Phil goes by the name TULOK? Wouldn't it be great if our Phil also had an alter ego for social interactions too? That's exactly what we get with the Vigilante dedication to gain a wholly separate identity that becomes our public face, and we don't have to roll deception to make statements that would be true for one identity but not the other. Back over to Phil, who's a level 9 ranger with ranger expertise for our expert ranger class TC and nature's edge, so enemies in natural difficult terrain are always flat-footed to us. We're just as good at musical puns as we are at verbal ones. The multi-talented feat gives us a multi-class dedication for free, and the maestro bards gain training in performance in occultism and occult spells. The message cantrip sends a string of 25 words or less directly to your Twitter feed, and if you're cool enough, you even get to send a reply. We're going to flesh out our TULOK identity with the social purview vigilante feat for yet another free dedication. The barbarian dedication gives us training in acrobatics. The spirit instinct gives us the anger of a ghost for the rage action. For temporary hit points equal to our level plus our constitution modifier for a minute, 2 additional damage on our melee attacks, and a -1 penalty to AC, and we can't use concentrate actions except for seeking. But TULOK is more than a barbarian, he's a barbarian. We'll take additional lore to immediately gain master proficiency in library lore and automatically increase it to legendary once we're level 15. Level 11 rangers gain medium armor expertise for expert light and medium armor and unarmored defense. The Argyle sweater is stylish, but I wouldn't really call it armor. Probably grab some breastplate if you're not trying to completely troll your party. Juggernaut increases our fortitude saves to master, and we gain critical success results on regular successes, and Wild Stride to ignore non-magical difficult terrain and treat greater difficult terrain as regular terrain. The season feat gives us a +1 circumstance bonus on our checks to craft food and drink. We've been practicing a lot since quarantine hit. Dipping back into Witch for improved familiar to upgrade our basic familiar to a Calligraphy worm, a talking pet dragon whose hunger for arcane secrets is only matched by its love for fine writing. It can spray ink once every 10 minutes to force a fortitude save in a 10-foot cone, revealing invisible creatures who don't critically succeed and blinding anyone who critically fails for 1 round. It also has stylus claws filled with ink it produces with its own body, so it can always write notes for us in the field. We can bring it out on patrol too with the Minion Guy's Vigilante feat to give our Calligraphy worm its own disguise for when we don our TULOK persona, because the only thing better than pets are pets with their own alter egos. Level 13 rangers gain weapon mastery for master proficiency with our attacks with our stiletto pins. The incredible improvisation ancestry feat lets us go off the script without missing a beat. Once per day we can gain a +4 circumstance bonus on a check using a skill we're untrained in as a free action. We've got more personalities than just Tulok and Phil. There's also Eraser Ned, the Winter Builder, and who could forget Damodar. Quick disguise feat lets us prepare a full disguise in half the usual amount of time for more skits and parodies in your D&D videos. I haven't forgot about our Bard dedication. The inspirational performance feat gives us the Inspire Courage composition cantrip to give ourselves and our allies within 60 feet a +1 status bonus to attack rolls, damage rolls, and saves against fear effects for maximum effectiveness when dealing with idiots on the internet. Level 15 Rangers get greater weapon specialization for 6 flat damage on our master weapon attacks, improved evasion for legendary reflex saves, regular fails on crit fails, and half damage whenever we fail a reflex save. Incredible Senses gives us half the reason we went Ranger in the first place, giving us legendary perception proficiency because a good pun always starts with keen observation abilities. The Toughness General feat increases our max HP by our level and reduces the DC of recovery checks we attempt to 9+ our dying condition value instead of 10+. We get some extra mobility with the Cloud Jump feat to use our long jump calculation when performing a high jump and to triple our usual long jump distance, meaning we can jump an insane 90 feet on anything other than a 1 on our athletics check and 120 feet with Long Strider all in a single action, because who even needs striding when you're basically the Hulk wielding riding implements. We'll scoop up another Bard feat for Well Versed for a +1 circumstance bonus to saves against effects with the auditory, illusion, linguistic, sonic, or visual traits, thanks to Surfshark, who haven't sponsored this video in any way. Level 17 Rangers gain Masterful Hunter for Master Ranger DC, double the perception and survival bonuses we gain on our Hunter Prey, and we lower our multi-attack penalty against our prey even further, only taking a -1 on our second attack and a -2 on the remaining. Taking Haughty Obstinacy, mostly because Phil's a total hottie, but also because we have no problems blocking people. We get critical successes on regular successes against mental effects attempting to control us, and if someone fails attempting to coerce us using intimidation, they get a critical fail and straight up can't talk to us again for a full week. The Shameless Request feat gives us effectively a +2 bonus whenever we ask you to like and subscribe and join the Patreon to vote in polls and download character sheets. Link is in the description. We'll take one last Bard feat for Educate Allies to give an ally in our Inspire Courage bubble the bonus to saving throws from our Well Versed feat as a reaction to an incoming auditory, illusion, linguistic, sonic, or visual effect. And like any good referral code, we get a bit of a kickback too. When we use Educate Allies, our bonus to saving throws against those effects increases to +2 as well. Level 19 Rangers gain Swift Prey to hunt prey as a free action so long as it's the first action we take on our turn, so we can fully devote all 4 of our actions for more pin stabbing. We get Second Skin for mass proficiency in light and medium armor and an armor defense, and we also aren't fatigued if we happen to fall asleep in our Argyle breastplate. We'll take the True Perception feat to give us the constant effects of 6th level True Seeing, so we can always see just how toxic a particular fandom is without needing to roll a perception check. For our last skill feat, Connections allows us to attempt a society check to arrange a meeting with another YouTuber so long as we're in the same niche and ask for a collab. For our capstone feat, Impossible Flurry lets us go full JoJo, unleashing 3 attacks with our weapons, making 6 attacks in 3 actions at only a -2 to hit. Not exactly a build every day in December thing, but if anyone is going to figure out how to make 31 attacks in a round, you'll see it on this channel first. But now that we're level 20, let's see just how good this build is. For starters, we basically get to ignore our multi-attack penalty, Flurry Ranger with agile weapons with haste and Inspire Courage to make 6 attacks with only a -1 to hit. Meanwhile, the fighter with the same weapons is making their 3rd and 4th attacks with a -8. Second, we're super mobile, able to close 270 feet of distance with 3 jumps, or 480 feet with haste and Long Strider to jump clean off whatever table you happen to be playing on. Lastly, with 320 HP going up to 353 while we're raging, we're gonna have plenty of time to take out basically anything with the weight of all of our dice alone. For cons, we might hit a lot but not very hard. Our flat damage is only gonna get us so far with only a D4 damage die. Maybe leave the Calligraphy to the dragon and pick up some short swords instead. 31 AC might sound like a lot if you've only played D&D, but in Pathfinder you're gonna get critted a lot. Breastplate is the optimal choice, but really anything more than a t-shirt is gonna be worth it. And we've only got 1 spell slot per level, and we really want haste more than once per day. But that's okay, whether it's D&D or Pathfinder, you've got a small channel or a massive one, sometimes you get to be the epic Calligraphy hero, and sometimes you're just the wizard at the back refreshing haste on the party. It's really all about getting together with friends and telling a great story. Thanks for making it to the end of this special video, and thanks to Tulok for giving me the green light to make this disaster build. Not sure how many more real people I'll make for the channel, but that's all depends on what you guys want. If you're new here, why not subscribe for new fictional character builds every week, and until next time, take care, stay safe, and play more Pathfinder.